Farrah Fawcett and Lee Majors were once the absolute epitome of Hollywood royalty. But behind the blinding flashbulbs and glamorous red carpets, a deeply painful reality was unfolding. For decades, Lee Majors said almost nothing about their dramatic, highly publicized split. Until now, after years of resolute silence, the truth about the love he lost and the heartbreak he carried has finally come to light. Today, here on Royal Time of Hollywood, we uncover the story behind the silence and the bittersweet truth Lee Majors ultimately confirmed. Humble beginnings and an inevitable connection. Before they became one of the world's most talked-about couples, Lee and Farrah were just two young hopefuls chasing big dreams in a fast-moving town. Their backgrounds couldn't have been more different, yet those very differences drew them together. Lee Majors was born Harvey Lee Urey on April 23, 1939, in Wyandotte, Michigan. Tragedy struck early. He lost both of his parents before he turned 2 and was raised by relatives in Middlesboro, Kentucky. Growing up in a small southern town, Lee learned to be strong, stoic, and fiercely private, traits that would define him for the rest of his life. Initially focused on sports, a severe back injury during his college football days at Eastern Kentucky University shattered his athletic dreams, prompting him to pivot toward acting. By the early 1960s, Lee moved to Los Angeles. With his rugged jawline, athletic frame, and quiet confidence, he was a natural for the screen. His big break came in 1965 as Heath Barkley in the hit TV western The Big Valley. Lee wasn't flashy, but he possessed a steady, dependable presence that producers trusted and audiences loved. Farrah Fawcett, meanwhile, was born on February 2, 1947, in Corpus Christi, Texas. Blessed with striking natural beauty, a radiant smile, and an infectious, warm personality, she was voted one of the 10 most beautiful co-eds in the country while attending the University of Texas. This accolade caught the attention of Hollywood agents, and she soon relocated to Los Angeles to pursue modeling and acting. Farrah had a rare magic. She managed to look incredibly glamorous yet entirely approachable. It didn't take long for the industry to notice. The two were introduced at a Los Angeles party in the late 1960s. The chemistry was instant. Lee was already an established television star, while Farrah was still finding her footing, but their connection ran far deeper than career status. They began dating, with Lee quietly supporting Farrah as her own star began to rise. The Hollywood power couple. By the early 1970s, their romance had blossomed into a full-blown media sensation. In July 1973, they made it official and married. To the public, it was a genuine fairy tale. The rugged, serious leading man and the radiant, rising blonde beauty. That same year, Lee landed the iconic role of Colonel Steve Austin in The $6 Million Man. The show became an international phenomenon, turning Lee into a household name. Simultaneously, Farrah's career was skyrocketing through high-profile national commercials and modeling gigs. Lee was incredibly proud of his wife, frequently praising her talent and beauty in interviews. Yet, behind closed doors, cracks were beginning to form. The primary culprit was their grueling schedules. Lee spent long, exhausting hours on the set of his hit show, while Farrah was relentlessly auditioning and working to build her own independent identity. She didn't want to be known simply as Lee Majors' wife. She wanted to stand on her own 2 feet. The simple act of spending time together became a luxury they could rarely afford. What began as physical absence slowly evolved into emotional distance. When global fame ruins everything. In 1976, Farrah's life changed overnight. She was cast as Jill Monroe in a new series called Charlie's Angels. The show was an immediate sensation, but Farrah became something much larger than a television star. She became a global phenomenon. Around the same time, she posed for her iconic red swimsuit poster, which went on to sell an unprecedented 12 million copies. This astronomical level of fame brought relentless demands. Farrah's life became a whirlwind of photo shoots, interviews, and public appearances. Lee understood fame, but the sheer velocity of Farrah's celebrity caught him off guard. Desperate to keep their marriage grounded, Lee reportedly asked Charlie's Angels producers if Farrah's filming schedule could be adjusted slightly so they could share dinner a few nights a week. However, Farrah declined, fiercely protective of her professional autonomy and determined not to let her marriage dictate her career. The rejection deeply wounded Lee. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to check out the other stories and shocking updates on our channel. We've covered many incredible celebrity journeys, tragic endings, and untold Hollywood secrets that you don't want to miss. Binge watch our previous videos to discover more surprising facts, emotional stories, and where your favorite stars are today. Your support helps us bring you more powerful content like this, so don't forget to explore, watch more, and stay tuned for the next video. The affair and the long silence. By the late 1970s, the emotional chasm between them was vast. The final, devastating blow came on a very public stage, involving Hollywood actor Ryan O'Neal. Cruelly, O'Neal wasn't a stranger. He was a peer and someone Lee considered a friend. Suddenly, tabloids were flooded with photographs of Farrah and Ryan holding hands and looking very much like a couple. Lee was completely blindsided, finding out about his wife's new romance through the press just like the rest of the world. Though their divorce wouldn't be finalized until 1982, Farrah had publicly moved on. Where many celebrities would have launched a media war, Lee chose a completely different path: total silence. He gave no angry interviews, signed no tell-all book deals, and refused to lash out. Instead, he withdrew entirely from the narrative, guarding his broken heart behind an impenetrable wall of privacy. Distance, heartbreak, and a missed reunion. Following the divorce, Lee immersed himself in his next hit series, The Fall Guy, 1981 to 1986. While he maintained his trademark charisma on screen, friends noted that something in him had dimmed. He remained unmarried for nearly 20 years, dating occasionally but keeping everyone at arm's length. Farrah's life with Ryan O'Neal remained highly volatile, characterized by dramatic breakups and passionate reconciliations played out in the press. Despite the chaos, Farrah fought hard to be taken seriously as a dramatic actress, earning critical acclaim for her later roles. In the early 2000s, a mutual friend attempted to arrange a private, off-the-record reunion for the former spouses. Farrah, having softened with age, was open to the meeting. Lee initially wavered, admitting privately that he profoundly missed the young Texas girl he had fallen in love with decades earlier. Ultimately, however, he declined. Too much time had passed, and the emotional scars were simply too deep to reopen. When Farrah was diagnosed with cancer in 2006, Lee chose to grieve and hope for her privately. He did not visit her or issue public commentary, a choice some misinterpreted as coldness. In reality, maintaining his distance was the only coping mechanism Lee had left. The final confirmation. Farrah Fawcett passed away on June 25, 2009. As the world wept for a pop culture icon, all eyes turned to Lee Majors. Would he finally break his decades-long silence? Lee chose not to attend the funeral, avoiding the media circus it would inevitably bring. Instead, he released a single, beautiful sentence to the public. She was an angel on earth, and now an angel forever. In those 11 words, Lee Majors finally confirmed what everyone had suspected for 30 years. His silence had never been driven by bitterness, anger, or a lack of caring. It was driven by the sheer depth of a love that had cut too deep to ever truly heal. He had loved her completely, and when it fell apart, he chose to protect the memory of that love by keeping it out of the public eye. Some love stories don't get a neat, Hollywood ending. Instead, they live on quietly in the spaces between what is said and what is left unbroken. If you enjoyed revisiting this unforgettable chapter of Hollywood history, please show your support. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification